I have so much respect for people who will self-care, who will make themselves a priority to look after themselves. It is crazy, but back in the day, we'd get badges. It was like the badge of honor for soldiering on. All that did was dig me a big hole and burn out. I am all about self-care, and self-care for me is not selfish. It's actually about self-preservation. If we don't look after ourselves, we can't look after anyone else. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk all about that today. Let's get into it. So I actually think it's really crazy that to be looking after yourself nowadays is considered to be a rebel. It is crazy. It is crazy. You know, we live in this world of business. I get it. Productivity. Things got stirred up during COVID. And sadly, we're going back to that same craziness where people are like, just got to get there, got to go. It's the world started to turn, and it really did, which was great. And a lot of people have slipped back into the same old habits, what they were pre-COVID. And so, like I said, for me, self-care isn't about being selfish. It's actually about, so I have so much respect for anyone who will self-care. I really do, because it's essential and it's really self-preservation in most cases. So what goes on in us to not self-care? Well, from all I can do is think about me and patients that I've worked with. And definitely it was a badge of honor in days gone by. It was the whole, you know, the work ethic of the 70s, 80s, and 90s was just like, yeah, go. And it really did. It was all part of me burning out. The last thing I was ever going to do was to show what I saw was weakness and not look after myself. I thought I was getting that badge of honor for soldiering on and just going at a crazy pace. But all I was doing, I mean, my not nurturing myself meant I was, one, showing people that it's the right thing to do to not look after yourself, where the only way change is going to come is if we are rebels and we start to look after ourselves, and that helps give other people permission to be able to look after themselves as well. So it's huge. I don't want to be that rebel. I have an inner rebel in me that is so alive, to my own detriment sometimes. It is a life lesson for me to work on. But I thought I'd share kind of like the top 10 ways, that just some simple things that I do for my own self-care. And if, you know, it's a challenge for you to give them a go consistently, because I can't even say it, because consistency is what brings change. If your inner rebel is fighting it like mine did for years, take a breath. I promise it's worth it. You will be more productive in your work. You'll have better and deeper relationships. Everything just works better when we look after ourselves. You know, it's on the plane, you put that oxygen mask on yourself first, because we can't look after anyone else until we look after ourselves. So these are the 10 things that I do pretty much as a daily practice to have myself be able to be nurtured and cared for. So first one is meditation. The thing is to know that, and I've talked about it before, that it's not about you having to sit in the full lotus position on the mountaintop going, that's not what it's about. It's just about being present. Meditation means to do one thing at once. So I choose to do walking meditations, that Buddhist practice of walking meditations, where I'm absorbing, whether I'm focused on a mantra, whether I'm focused on my breath. And it's just being so present. That's it. It's about self-awareness. It helps to reduce our stress. It helps me to just cope with life better. And even if it's 5 minutes, and if you haven't meditated before, I promise it's worth the practice. And even like the thoughts will come and go. They will. It's a reality. But don't put judgment on. When they come in, it's going to go, okay, cool. Yeah, back to center. Focus on my breath. Come back to center. Focus on my breath. As my dog's barking in the background, I can choose to let that disturb me or not. Focus on my breath, back to center. That's it. The next one is food. You know, I talk about eating close to nature the majority of the time. 80% of the time, if we can be eating close to nature, we're going to be fueling, keeping our gut chemistry in a good state, being able to fuel our brain so that our mind, everything works. Okay? Eat close to nature the majority of the time, 80% of the time. 100% of nothing is nothing. So if you're used to going, yes, I'm going to do this and go full on and then stop, it doesn't achieve anything. So I'm all about people being sustainable in everything they do. Aim for 80%, be consistent. The next one is to move our body in some way every day. Yes, do something you enjoy, like whether it's running or yoga or dancing or hiking or surfing, whatever it is. It doesn't have to be just in the gym. Yes, we need to do weight bearing exercise. However, we also want to do things that that we enjoy doing. I don't enjoy the gym. It's a reality. I do weight bearing exercise with a PT weekly, yes, but I know that exercise specifically helps my surfing, so I can do it. But we want to make sure that we move our body in some way every day. Sleep is our biggest priority, and it's got to be consistent. We're aiming our adrenals. I talk about how our adrenals need between 7 and 9 hours sleep a night to really restore, bring back to balance things like the stress hormones like cortisol. So whether you're using aromatherapy to help support you, whether you're using adaptogen herbs to help support you, the dark room, all the things, the phone not next to the bed, take those bloody sleep watches off, because there's studies out of the UK that are showing that just people trying to monitor how their sleep is giving them broken sleep. It's crazy. Stop it. It's not going to help you. Having a sleep routine that works for you is the go. Doing a digital detox. So definitely having that phone away at night, not negotiable. It's got to be away. Getting off screens and things. They say a couple of hours before. Everyone's different before you go to sleep, but at least getting breaks. I don't go answering messages to people at night. I'm really disciplined with that stuff nowadays. I wasn't originally. And then I started getting messages from people like at 9 o'clock at night, not thinking like business messages. I'm like, get off it. What, really? This is my relaxing time. Don't message me now. That's not cool. So I realized it was a great mirror for me to go, Jen, put the bloody phone down. So yeah, we want to give ourselves a break, okay? Whether it's for hours a day, minutes a day, whatever, but we've got to give ourselves breaks. We need to be us, okay? And do things that really stimulate our creativity. If we're just doing all the time, if I'm just doing business, and I learned from Marianne Williamson to, because I used to just read self-development books because I love it. I love learning. However, she said, when you're doing that kind of book, you're not being, you lose your creativity. And I went, I want my creative brain. And so I read a novel, then I read a self-development or a business book. I read a novel, and I rotate. But I also started learning ukulele. I do my gardening. I'm writing a new book at the moment. And you do something that's allowing your creativity, but something that you enjoy. And again, that helps to reduce stress and helps us feel satisfied and fulfilled. And they're all great, but they nurture. So do something that works for you. Okay. I'm not a painter. I'm not an artist or something like that. That is not my thing. So doing that is not going to be fulfilling for me. Do something that's fulfilling for you. We need to get out in nature. So even I'm in my office today, I'm a big gardener. And every hour and a half, 2 hours, I'm out in the garden, and I'll just, even if I touch the plants and say good day, I'm cooking. It's the middle of winter. I'm cooking a great big pumpkin soup today, pumpkin and white bean soup. And with that, I've kept the seeds aside when I cut up the pumpkin this morning and put it in the slow cooker, that I'll go out shortly at lunchtime and I'll go and plant those seeds. Like getting into nature. It doesn't have to be that I've got the time to go and do a great big hike in the bush. No, it's just get out in nature. It might be that you just sit out in the sun and appreciate the apricity, which is the word that we feel to explain how we feel when the sun hits our body on a cold winter's day. You're out in nature, okay? That's a big self-care, especially for me this time of year. It's huge. Number 8 is that we need to still be connected with people. So this was one I've been writing a fair bit about it in my new book, because that state of loneliness is very real in our community nowadays, and it's terrible. It's worse since the last few years, excuse me, because people, they were isolated and they got used to being withdrawn, and it's a real thing for people to get engaged in. So, I volunteer with our Veterans Backyard here on the Gold Coast at my local RSL club. I volunteer with our surf club, and so that we ran a competition on the weekend in our women's board riders club. So I actively do things that make me stay connected, because my natural default for me is I can be the recluse way too easily. I've always been the lone wolf, and I love my own company. but to my detriment at sometimes. So that is one that I really mindfully have to do, to reach out to friends, talk to them, and stay connected, but not just through, socials and things, to actually be with people. It's important. The next one is to set boundaries. We do need to set boundaries and manage your time well. And it's not about so that you're more productive. It's just so that you're factoring in time for your well-being. What I know is that they'll put, excuse me, the classic is they'll book in a massage or a spa treatment or something like that. And then they're busy, so they cancel it instead of tweaking that bit of work so you've still got time to do it. Because if you have that treatment, you will be more productive in life. Don't cancel your self-care structured bits of time. They're just vital to your survival. I really mean that. Setting boundaries is huge. Stop putting yourself last. And then the last one, number 10, is just to be gentle with yourself. Oh my gosh, what a concept. Just treating yourself with kindness, with understanding and acceptance, especially when things are tough. And especially when things aren't tough. So that when things are tough, your natural default is more of self-compassion and empathy and just nurturing. If we wait to keep correcting this when we're in a tough time, it's a slower kind of result. If we do it day in, day out in little ways, especially when things are good, you create a new default so that when stuff goes to shit, you won't default back to that normal, oh, you dumb shit, Jen, what are you doing? Like, fuck, you fucked up again. No, it's like, okay, cool, chance to learn. Okay, let's just get back on track. That's been a huge learning for me, and I'm good at it probably 80% of the time nowadays. I definitely still occasionally slip, but it's nothing like I used to do. I promise, these are little practices that you think, oh, yeah, I do that. Yeah, do you do that? Do you really mindfully do it? I challenge you for the next week even, be a self-care rebel. Be a self-care rebel. Even if you did 3 or 4 of those 10, different ones to what you might already be doing, bring in some of the different ones. So of the 10 I listed, if you, I'm already doing 6 of those. Well, I challenge you to bring in 1, 2, or 3 of those different ones into your next week. Okay? Get uncomfortable and grow. I promise you looking after you inspires other people and gives them permission to start their own self-care journey. And it's so important because it helps to create a ripple effect of wellness and empowerment amongst our community and beyond. It's time to be a self-care rebel. I have so much respect for people who look after themselves because I know I didn't for so long. That's it. I'm out of here. See ya.